All right. Hey, everyone. After messing around last week, I kind of got on a roll, and now this week I had an idea and wanted to mess around with it and make a video because it actually worked out. So my idea this week was to use Ollama, which is a AI tool to run local models on your own machine, and talk to it in natural language and get it to talk to a Cisco iOS device and make configurations. Um, it actually worked. So I worked with ChatGPT because I don't know a lot about REST API or a lot of tools and capabilities that I could use with any of it. And working with it, we actually got it up and going. So going to do a demonstration of it and share some of the code base. So what I used was, of course, Ollama. So here's their website, Ollama. You can just get on here, you can download it. I deployed a container, same concept. So basically just the Linux version. Just deployed it into a Docker container. I'm running it on a Jetson Nano. I'm not running it on the actual machine, which would allow me to use the GPU only because of troubleshooting. It was a lot easier to just do the stuff in the container. Next phase will be to run it on the host. It'll be a lot faster. But right now, just containers a lot easier to do some troubleshooting with. I can control a lot more of the code base. But here's their Git repo. Has everything you need for your CLI commands and their API information and all that stuff too. I'm also using Proxmox with Cisco Catalyst 8K router running inside of it. Here's a little demo Open Web UI that I also have running on the, it's in a Docker container, but it's reaching to that same port that the Ollama is running on. So just showing that I can still use it to run generalized help on here. So let me move this over here. So for my code base stuff, here's everything I had. I had to make this video again because I forgot to black out the passwords and everything. So a little overview of the workflow. So how it kind of works is there's a Python script that runs on the Jetson Nano that talks to the, when you type in your user query, it takes that, inputs it into the Ollama, which has a prompt built inside of it that when you talk to it, outputs something readable in Cisco iOS that then goes back into that Python script that then talks to the REST API that then talks to the Cisco router and then runs all the commands and does the command, and you get back the command execution results. Just going through, I'll go over the query workflow Python file on the host when we get there. We have our Ollama Pi, which is configuring up the REST API stuff. This is just saying how to translate the Ollama information. It integrates with the Ollama LLM to generate the Cisco CLI commands and make sure they're formatted correctly for the REST API. And then we have our Catalyst Pi, which is basically taking in our variables, creating all that, importing our net Miko to do our connection handler to our Cisco device. These are important down here for us entering our privilege exec mode to be able to handle our multi-line configuration for all our global stuff, and then our single line, or our global and our privilege exec stuff for our single line and multi-line configuration. That was a big thing because before we could only do show commands and it wouldn't let me actually change configurations on a tunnel. So me and ChatGPT sat down and we troubleshot a bunch of stuff and worked all that out. Then we have our app Pi, which is all of this, which takes in all the stuff and exposes our whole REST API point, and then routes all the commands between everything, and basically is our controller. This is all rolled up and deployed using, it's all with Docker. So of course this is built up in our container. That's all in our REST API. And then we have our Ollama, which has our Docker file for all of that. I'm not pre-importing Llama 3.2, which is what I'm actually messing with. There were some issues importing it. The timeline was freezing up on building the container. I'm going to work on that later too. That one was freezing up, wound up yanking that out. Here's the Docker Compose file as I'm using Docker Compose to build all this. So here's all the pre-stage environments. So move this one over here. And we can get to actually showing some of this. So as we move over to our actual device, we can, so we are on our Jetson Nano right here. Control plus, make it a little bit better for blind people like myself. So right now we're on our device. I have some commands. So if we want to just test our container that's currently running our Ollama, this is just a general one, just to do a real quick show an IP interface brief type translation. Should give us output. It's going to be slower because we're not using the onboard GPU. We're using the CPU, which there's not much on this old Jetson Nano. Super old. Super, like 5 years old. But they're cheap when they're used. That probably was a waste of time to run. But while that's going, gonna get on here. Can that dialog will not show. So while that is on there, I'm going to show on the Cat 8K. We'll go ahead and show the interfaces, show IP interface brief, show that we don't have a tunnel 2 so that when we go through the demonstration, so role assistant, asked it to show an interface brief for all that. It spit out show IP interface brief. That was completely wrong, mostly because it doesn't have everything cleaned up for the prompt. The one I have built out has a better prompt. And then this is the API. So if we look right here, that command just actually reached over here to our Cisco device and actually tried to pull all that data. So that was testing the connectivity of our REST API container and our Ollama container. So now I'm going to show you guys the query workflow. So this is the actual Python script that does a lot of the work. So it does the manages user queries and interacts with the Ollama Pi to fetch the translated commands and sends the commands to the REST API. This is the one where I've actually sat down and worked to try to clean up the prompt, actually clean it all up and generate like proper syntax with everything. So when I go through this, it's going to be a lot different. You'll see. Hopefully, we'll see. And then formatting for CIDR notation, so that way it goes into subnet mask and all that. There's a lot of work you do inside of here. Going to probably package this up into a container later or a web front end or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to run our Python package. Let's let it go ahead. Enter your query. So what we'll do, since that's right there, enter the query. We're going to do show the interfaces on the device. Since it's the only device right now, I haven't worked on like scoping it down to getting multiple devices, saying on like cleaning it up. It's also a model that's not trained on actual Cisco commands. So if I put like device 10.10. whatever, it's going to do like pipe. No, it's going to be off. So I'm going to take a lot more work trying to clean up like how it outputs the commands than just having something that's trained on the model or trained on the actual data. So right now it's asking Llama 3. Look, there we go. So right there, I queried it, show the interface on the device. It queried Ollama. It cleaned it all up. It spit out show IP interface brief. It took that translated command, sent it to the REST API. Response from the REST API after talking to the Cisco device is output right there, which would be exactly what I would get right here. Show IP interface brief. I wasn't fat fingering. Bam. So we're basically able to do natural language processing to talk with it. Now let's see. Configure an interface tunnel 2 with IP 10.10.7.254, or we'll give it a 1. 255.255.255.0/24. All right, let's give it an interface. Let's see. It'll run a multi-line command. See how long it takes to run that. But you can, it's basically just showing you can talk to it. And oh, look, there we go. Let's see. Translated command, interface tunnel 2, IP address, no shutdown, sending REST API configure tunnel, and it sent all those commands. That's what it got back. Oh, line down. So I should be able to do show IP interface brief. There we go. It created a tunnel 2, gave it an IP address 10.10.7.1. It's up down. I don't have all the configs inside of it. Show the running configuration, or show the running configuration for interface gigabit Ethernet 2, or yeah, 2, whatever. Let's see if it'll clean that up and run. Should just be a show command. Let's see if it will clean that up. Oh, there we go. Yep. Bam. Show run interface gig Ethernet 2 interface. Do. Cool. Yeah. Can I do change the IP on interface tunnel 2 to 10.10. I don't know, 10.1 255.255.255.248. Let's see. Let's see if I can do a show run interface tunnel 2. So I got that. It'll also kick back if I mistype something, like if the command isn't recognized by the Cisco iOS, it'll fail also. But there's no error correction on this end to send things back over to that end. So let me see. Show interface tunnel 2. So there we go. Show IP interface brief. So I was able to change the IP on that interface also. So it went in, it talked to it. It talked to the REST API, went in, ran all the commands to change the IP on that interface for me. So took natural language processing, translated it into Cisco commands, took those translated commands, that Python script, then talked to the, or then ran to the REST API and sent that over to the Cisco device, and then made those changes. So it's pretty cool. So you're able to translate your NLP queries into valid Cisco CLI commands. You can execute both single line and multi-line commands. You can handle both your privilege and global config modes. It provides some error handling because it's not going to take anything that Cisco doesn't do. And it takes some invalid commands. I had to clean up a lot. If you knew what the Ollama lines are actually spitting back or want to spit back, it's rough. So me and ChatGPT had to work at cleaning out a lot of the stuff, had to see what the outputs were from both ends, and start, cutting away and cleaning that all up. There's a lot more work that can still be done. But future improvements would like to be authentication. So there's not a lot of security built into all this. So would like to add authentication to the APIs. Also would like to move Ollama out of the container onto the GPU itself. And then a lot more error handling. Like I said, clean up a lot of that, get a better model, probably train one for actual Cisco only commands. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I think this just goes to show, especially now, that just there's a lot you can do with AI tools. Steph was laughing at me because I was like sitting there on the couch working with it, and I was talking with it like, "Hey, well, what if I tried this? Like, what if we, ran this command, or what if we, put this, or what if we, tried to cut this off and we went this way, and what if I added this container in there as a middle thing?" So using it as like a research assistant, giving you ideas, because it has the information, it has the code base, it knows how to do it. So just asking input, getting it to spit something out, you throwing information inside of there, or saying to change this up or reword it. It's freaking amazing. So like work that I would have never been able to actually do, it was able to actually help me spit out. But yeah, cool. It was great. Hope everybody enjoyed. Get out there and try messing around with it. And all this was just like, all this is available. The RestConf and NetConf stuff is already built into Cisco devices. You don't have to go out and purchase any of this. All this was free stuff laying around. There's FRR routing, which also has a router you can use that has APIs on the back end. It's a free router that you can work on and mess with too if you just want to mess around with APIs, using stuff like this to configure. You don't need catalysts. You don't need freaking any other tools that are out there to mess around with any of it. You can just work with these free things and these free tools to mess around with AI and see about configuring your own network automation or network remediation or network configuration, or all are one and one and the same. All right. Well, thanks. Laters. Keep coding. Phew.